We're live.
Welcome to the Bleeding Burgundy Podcast, a Washington football podcast by fans for fans. With your hosts, Jesse Martin.
You want to play what? Okay. Say hello to my little friend.
John Taylor.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
And Keith Gray.
The King, your majesty.
And now here's your host, John Taylor.
What is going on, everybody? I am Jesse Martin, your host for today. John is, I guess he's at a pickleball tournament, or it might be his birthday or his anniversary, but he decided that we were just not good enough for his evening jaunts. So it is me. I am your host. I'm sorry about that, but it is what it is. And I have my good buddy with me, Scott Hartley.
I can't believe you even had that queued up, Jesse. Well done, you. That's just, yeah, brilliant.
It's all good. John's producer credit to the side, and I'm going to take over this damn thing.
Absolutely. Look at that. Max already in the chat. Max Taman saying it's the old man's birthday, but don't worry, boys. I'm here. What a guy.
Yeah, nice, Max.
What a guy.
Appreciate coming. Yeah, I knew he wasn't going to be here. And happy big 60 to our host, John. And here's the 60 mark. Can't believe you've been on this earth for 60 years and no one has taken you out yet. That is a shock to me. But yeah, anyways, we love you, man. Happy birthday.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, John.
So we had a game on Friday. It was kind of weird. I know for you UK boys that it was awful. Miserable because there was a little bit over an hour delay. So did you get to watch it live, or did you have to come back in the morning?
No, not at all. I was actually working on what is Saturday morning, so I'm due in work at 6:30 a.m. So for me, I was like, right, I'll watch the first couple of drives because it was just after midnight, probably half 12. It was due to start. And then when the stream just didn't work, I was like, right, what's going on with this? So we have like this, I think what you guys call the Saturday pass.
Yeah.
Not Saturday pass, the Sunday pass, sorry.
The Sunday ticket. Yeah.
Sunday ticket. That's the one. So it's very similar to that, but it's called Game Pass and it's through a brand new distributor this year. So it's all a bit all over the spot for us European fans. But yeah, I tuned in, was like, nothing's happening here. What is going on? And then checked Twitter and rain delay. I just was like, that's me. I'm going to bed. But yeah, I caught up and watched the full game back on the Saturday at work because it's quite quiet on a Saturday. So I made myself available. But if anyone's listening from work, but no, it was good. It was all right. I was quite impressed with a few. Quite disappointed in a few, but I'm sure we'll get into that as we go. But a win is a win, Jesse. And
it's preseason. A win is a win. And I got to complain. I cut the cord a long time ago, so I stream everything. And the stream was awful. It was god awful. Shit was just cutting out. I don't know if the NFL, because I have NFL Plus as well.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even very good. So hopefully you had better luck watching the game. But I did go back and watch it a second time. And, I was pleasantly surprised with quite a few aspects of this game. I was surprised in both of sides of the line of the number one defense and offense. Well, not really the offense, but we'll get in that for a second. But the defense kind of got pushed around a little bit. That kind of was like, okay. But I think, they come out, they warm up, they get ready to play, and then they call it for like an hour, and so they go back into the locker room, they get cold, and then they only have 10 minutes to prepare. So I'm going to give them a break. We know how good this defensive line is. But we do know that they manhandled us when we played them on New Year's Eve last year. So maybe this team just has it in for our offensive line or defensive line. But mainly, the offensive line, I'm not going to go as far as say that we are who we thought they were, because when I went back and watched it the second time, I did see some fixable mistakes basically one player kind of ruined everything.
Yeah, I agree.
First couple of drives. So give me your overall thoughts and what you saw on the preseason game.
Yeah, interestingly enough, the guys we had on, I mean, we had Ken on last week, and the players that he highlighted actually were probably some of the standout players
Sure.
who you wouldn't have expected. And I think when you look at the firsts, I was mightily impressed really with the poise that Sam Howell has in the pocket. I was really happy with his 3 drives, even when he was on the run. People like Cole Turner showed up for me. If we're looking at individual, if we're going to get into head smack and butt pats, we'll get into that. And there was a few disappointments, as you said, fixable for Andrew Wiley. Yeah. Really the only problem in the offensive line. Quite a couple of holding penalties, and obviously gave up the safety as well, which is not a great or ideal in any way. I think it was more over his feet and a wide stance when I watched it back. Yeah. He came out too wide against to try and combat that rush. But again, we are asking a player who's took, I'd say in his career, the vast majority, probably 85, 90% of his snaps have always been at guard.
Yeah.
We're saying, right, well, you're playing tackle, and we've put our tackle into guard. So it's kind of almost backwards, really. And I don't mind if they think to themselves, we'll have to try and shuffle this around. But I really want Cosme to continue to play where he's playing at guard, because he showed out. He was pretty good. I was quite impressed with him. The left side, it is what it is. It's not ever going to be amazing with Charles Leno. We know that. But Charles is game day ready, and he's dependable, and he's there. And that's the difference with the offensive line there. No issues with Gates at center. Seemed okay. I was quite happy with him. The snaps seemed to come out quite well. I was mightily impressed with the way he was. You could see he was learning the calls. He was audible into telling Sam Howell what the protections were, which was good. And then Chris Paul, it's a tough one with Chris Paul, because is he going to get this sewn up? You're convinced he is definitely going to be left guard, but we'll get into it a bit later from today's practice. But from what I've heard, Sadiq Charles had a very good day.
Yeah, I heard that too. I heard that too. Yeah, like you said, we'll touch on that in just a moment. And just to let you go, there is a big storm that is coming. So if I lose power, I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
We'll just catch you on Friday. Look, as overall offense, they started off slow, and that was mainly because of the offensive line. I like you, I was impressed with Cosme. Leno is who he is. You saw in the first play, he's going to give up a play here and there, but overall he was solid. I like Chris Paul a lot. I think he did a really good job, but I do understand where the coaches are coming from because of this quick pass in this short game. And screens, they want the more athletic person to win that job, and that person is Charles, Shaquille Charles. And if he goes out and wins it, that's fine. But you have a good backup in Chris Paul. But I still think he's going to overtake that job before training camp or before week 1. I just think I think screens are going to be in this game, and Chris Paul is a little bit slower, a little bit less athletic than Shaquille Charles is. And it is what it is, but Chris Paul, you can't move that guy, man. He is a stalwart. He is a brick wall that is pretty much unmovable. Like you said, Nick Gates, he had a little issue on a screen. But other than that, I thought he played fine, and Cosme was great. And then, Wiley, those are fixable mistakes. We'll go to that sack that sack on Sam Howell, and that was Sam Howell's fault.
Yeah, it's all Sam Howell.
That was not on the offensive line. That is a learning.
I did initially blame the offensive line, and then when I watched it,
and so did the majority so did the majority of the fan base. But you go back and look at it, you can actually see there was a hot route out there, and that ball should have came out.
And he didn't know he was hot. That's the point. Yeah. He had no idea. So,
and I'm not going to be as worried about the offensive line as I initially was. I think, there's going to be some trouble at times, but I think overall, this group is a hell of a lot better than what we fielded last year. And they're only just going to get better and better as time goes on. Moving to the defense, Chase Young, man. Yes, he only played 4 plays, but that burst is back. He had a stinger on the play that should have been a sack, but I expect to see a lot more of that stuff this year. As
That's
Mac said,
millimeters, that isn't it, Jesse? I mean, I watched that. I thought he's got him wrapped up here, that this is a definite sack. And the confidence boost, even to know that you're going to get that quick, because we talked about it before, that stutter step doesn't seem to be there anymore. It's not in his arsenal anymore. It's gone.
Yeah.
And whatever he's done with his coach at Ohio State has worked. It's quite obvious.
Did you see the move he put on Cedric Wills? He went up and under. Oh, that was nasty. It was nasty. Yeah. No, I'm excited about that. You know, I'm really excited about and we saw a lot of this last year. The team would give up some yards, but then have those dramatic goal line stands, and that's what they did again. You had Forbes come up. You can't say anything about Forbes not being physical. He is 170 pounds soaking freaking wet, but he will stick his nose in it. He had a great stop with him and Cam Curl, and then you had Montez Sweat clean it up.
Was
at
the
the
next
end.
one, yeah.
So and it took a couple drives to get the offense going. I thought the offense was going. That first that first drive, and then it was penalties, and the defense had the one drive, and that was it. Now you go look at some of the backups that I think that had a good game. Christian Watson, Christian Holmes took his game to the next level. We were talking about him last week as possibly being on the bubble. I would hate to be the person making those decisions about who to cut, because we're going to see
awful, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to see some names that were like, whoa, didn't see that.
Especially when you're going from 90-man roster.
Yeah,
you have to cut from 90 down to 53. That's really hard. And I mean, I've heard some quote somewhere saying, "Oh, well, they know already who 44, 45 people."
Yeah, I think they do. I think they do.
You're probably right.
That into that roster, man. You're going to see some good players. Unfortunately,
do you think it's going to be cuts in other areas to make sure that we've got these DBs, what I'm talking about, things is like linebackers?
One thing about it is, we're not going to have as many linebackers as most other teams. So those spots have to go somewhere, and you can't let yourself be cut short. I don't think positions.
Max has just put on here as well. Be prepared for some cuts between games 2 and 3. I don't think we're allowed to do that, Max.
It's all or nothing. It's a full
cut down.
That's the new rule. I mean, you can. I mean, the team can cut a player here and there, but I wouldn't expect anything big unless they're trying to make. Unless they hear something, they're trying to make room for somebody else. I mean, the only move I would think they would make would be for another offensive lineman. But Christian Holmes, I thought he had a hell of a game. Percy Butler was flying all over the damn field.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we got depth at this especially on the line in the secondary, and it's exciting to see because years ago, in years past, actually recent, we're like, if one of our players goes down, we're fucked. I mean, we're a bad defense anyways. But the fact of the matter is we have depth. We're not going to be crushed if a knock on wood, if one of our starters goes down. I think we're going to be okay.
Well, you mentioned it. You said this was a better roster than 2012, and I agree with you.
I think so. I think this is the best roster we've seen in recent memory. I mean, this goes back before 2012. This maybe 2005. That was a really good roster. I just besides the questions at quarterback and offensive line, we're stacked. I really do. Even the wide receiver position, the room is stacked, and there's going to be some hard cuts.
Do you know what's really, really funny there? That exact statement that you've just said there. We're quite stacked at wide receiver. The only 2 question marks are offensive line and quarterback were exactly the same things you said last year. I'll go back a year, and that was the same statement. But let's just hope, knock on wood, that this is a lot better this season. I completely agree with you. Do you want to get on to head smacks and butt pats? What do you think?
We can do that. I think I'm really, 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 really getting more confidence in Hal. So my first
I am too.
My first butt pat is going to go.
Attaboy. Head smash.
to Sam.
Butt pat. Attaboy. Head smash.
Butt pat.
Attaboy.
I need a little a little seasoning on that. There we go. So my first butt pat is Sam Howell. I think he was in control of the offense. No procedural penalties. He was on target. He had that one mistake for a sec. I mean, he's young, second-year player. You couldn't really ask for a better, opening game for him. So he is my
Attaboy.
butt pat.
Attaboy. Attaboy.
Oh,
I think doesn't
mine.
shut up.
It doesn't, does it? Mine, I'll go with my first one will be Cole Turner. I thought he had a really good game. Yes, there was the incident where it ball got ripped away, but he was down when he received that ball. There was no question of a doubt there. They just ripped that away and thought they'd try and take away there. He looked really good. He looked like the tight end that we thought we drafted. Everything was there. The route running was good. He was good. We contested catches in the air, did really well. So for me, yeah, he had a really good game. And that is a serious storm, by the way.
Did you hear that?
That is a serious storm coming in, Jesse.
Yeah.
So if you do cut, then or you need to get out of here, I completely understand. I can talk quickly.
We're going strong. Yeah, no, I concur. Cole Turner, he's showing out. This knock on wood. Hopefully he stays healthy. We have a tight end down right now in Logan Thomas. Cole Turner, I think I was on the Bunker podcast yesterday, and a question came in about Cole Turner, possibly being a tight end one. Not so fast. I think he's working his way. He could work his way in that conversation, but Logan Thomas has had a very, very strong camp, strong OTA, strong camp. He's grasping the offense realm. He's just unfortunately injured right now, but that 1-2 combo, as far as our pass catching tight ends, man, I think it's going to be something to watch this season. So I'm definitely excited about Cole Turner.
Attaboy.
So my second butt pat is going to go on the defensive side of the ball. And Chase Young, man, again, we said it earlier, that burst, he looks back. I'm getting excited. I'm going to be wearing my Chase Young jersey week 1. I'll be loud and proud. So he gets my defensive butt pat.
Attaboy.
My second one, I'm going to go with on the defense again, and it's easy pickings this for me. It's got to be Christian Sip Holmes, as he's known. He is obviously, as we thought, a bubble player potentially. I know Ken was keen on that, as you said before last week, thinking could be a practice squad guy. He showed out, man. He showed out properly. So to me, yeah, definite butt pat for me.
Yeah, butt pat for Sip Holmes. Back to the offense for me and Jahan Dotson. Man, that guy, did you see that route? He just left that defender. His shoes are still buried in that.
It was all about the head movement,
turf.
Jesse, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was the head movement. I don't
and
know
then
how
the
he does
catch,
it.
too. It wasn't a perfectly placed ball, but he went out there. His hands are so good, and he just he just slid right into the end zone, man. I think Jahan is going to lead this team in touchdown receptions.
I agree. I was about to say that. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Terry gets the most yards.
He's going to get the most yards. I think you're going to go deep to Terry a lot more, but Jahan's going to rack up some TDs, man. I'm talking, I'm maybe even double digits. That's what I'm talking.
Attaboy.
You got another one?
Yeah, I got quite a few. I'll go. I think Jacoby Brissett actually came in and did very well. Didn't put a foot wrong. He did what he needed to do. He showed you the competence of a backup quarterback, and he showed you that he is, in most people's eyes, the number one backup quarterback. So for me, well done, Jacoby Brissett. Good to go back to your old. Good to go back to your old team and show them what you still have in the tank as well. Because I'm sure he was feeling a little bit of that too. To be fair.
Yeah, I thought Jacoby played well. He had that one little gaffe at, the interception. He kind of just threw it up there. That's not really Jacoby-like, but, he was trying to make a play. And listen, this team has played 3 quarterbacks for the past, every year for the past, 20 years. So chances are likely we might see him this year. I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully Sam stays healthy all year round. But I don't think he's going to be a detriment to this offense. I think he will be able to steady the ship and keep it going. So yeah, I was definitely in on Jacoby. So let's turn to head smacks. Who's your first head smack?
Probably I won't go. I'll let you go the obvious one. I'm going to go John Bates.
Okay.
I thought John Bates with that drop was just ridiculous.
Bad.
And also, his blocking wasn't as good as people made out when you went back and watched it. He got whiffed a couple of times on blocks. He needs to probably step it up a bit for me.
Yeah, that was such a beautiful throw too. I mean, that was on
ridiculous.
point. I mean, maybe the throw could have came out a little bit early, but you can't. I mean, he was wide freaking open. And shout out to this, to Eric Bieniemy scheming that up. And it hit him right in the freaking hands. It can't get much easier than that. It cannot get much easier than that. My head smack is going to the obvious and Wiley. Get your shit together. Protect your man and stop fucking holding people. That's all. That's all you got to do. Just stop fucking holding people. Do your assignments. That's it, man. Your job's fucking easy. Don't give me this shit. Fucking
I got one more head smack. I don't know if you've got many more. I got one more. Quan Martin didn't have a good game at all. He's holding receipts. I've seen that he's on Twitter. He's taking the haters to task. But
that's
okay, mate. You're a second round pick. It takes time. You know what I mean? Yeah. The difference between being in the NFL and being in the college game, we all know that it does take a bit of time. So hopefully he bounces back and he's good in the next game.
I'm not worried about Quan. We've heard a lot of good things, especially from John Keim. He's very smart. It's a different game. Sometimes it takes, players a little bit longer to adjust to the NFL. I mean, look at Jamin Davis, but a lot of people are looking at Quan being a second round pick and then, how good Emmanuel Forbes is doing as a first round pick. But some people just, Quan is being asked to do a lot. He's being asked to learn a lot, and that's okay. So I think you should expect him to take a little bit longer to learn. We'll see how this week goes in Baltimore. I'm sure he's going to have a bounce back and he's just going to be just fine.
Agreed. Any more head smacks for you, Jesse?
No, I don't.
I got two more butt pats. I think.
Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
So the first one I'm going to go is Eric Bieniemy. I think this whole nonsense of he doesn't call plays, he doesn't do that, he doesn't do this. Look at the adjustments he made after like 2 drives.
And this is vanilla stuff too. This is we're not even opening the playbook yet. Yeah, and no. I'm with you on that. But
how long did it take to adjust? And we're talking in regular season games last year before. Halftime we're adjusting. I'm like, dude, why aren't we adjusting immediately? He's adjusting after 4 plays. You know what?
We were having
this round.
We were having a conversation yesterday on the bunker about the offensive line, and Andy was saying something that if the offensive line is shit, Sam Howell doesn't have a chance, and I kind of disagree with that a little bit because Eric Bieniemy is going to be able to scheme around a bad offensive line. Teams do this all the time. Kansas City, their offensive line hasn't been that great. Yes, it's gotten better, especially last year. It's actually starting to get real good. But you can win with a bad offensive line. Just ask Joe Burrow in the Bengals. You can still win with a bad offensive line. It's all about scheming around, and that's what Bieniemy started doing. He started making Sam move the pocket and roll out to the outside, and he's going to be able to do that kind of stuff. You saw that on Friday. So definitely a butt pat to Eric.
And the last one for me is obviously Percy Butler. Have to give him a shout out. He was for me.
He looks so fast. So fast.
And it looks like he's bulked up and put on probably 10, 15 pounds of pure muscle. He looks a bigger threat. I mean, in this secondary now, when we look at this secondary, you think to ourselves, Percy Butler's there. You've got Christian Holmes, who's come on as a 7th round pick from last year into this. You've got Forrest, who, he was around the ball, but he didn't do a great deal, but he didn't have to do a great deal. Cam Curl there as well. I mean, then you're outside and you're looking at St. Juice. You've got Fuller. You've got Emmanuel Forbes showing up big, showing that his frame doesn't mean anything. You know, he's been doing the same in practice, which we'll talk about in a minute. But this guy, you know what I mean? He's the real deal for me. He's the real deal.
Yeah.
And Percy Butler is slowly but surely got into that area to say, you know what, you can't cut me. And I think that's the thing when you're standing out in the seconds, or you're standing out against, if you're standing out when you're playing second team, but you don't look like you belong in that second team, that's when coaching staff will look at it and say, hold on a minute, why is this guy in that second team level? And then they'll either move him up, or people will notice him. And everyone's putting out tape, everyone's putting out film, everyone's doing that to try and earn a job. So for me, shout out to Percy Butler. You were very, very good.
Definitely. Well, I think that kind of wraps. You have any other thoughts on the game?
No, nothing at all. It is preseason. It is what it is. We'll get where we are. Not going to talk about the bottom of the roster stuff. There's no point. We've got loads of time for that.
Yeah. So let's jump to the joint practice with Baltimore. Some timbers flaring today. And I'll tell you what, man.
Funnily enough, obviously John Harbaugh didn't get the message, whereas Ron has said, I told my players not to fight.
Listen, Commanders didn't start none of this shit. None of it. It was all Ravens. It was like we were the professional team. What? Are you serious? We were the professional team? What the fuck is going on here? But I'll tell you what, man. Emmanuel Forbes got some quick ass hands. You see that 1, 2, 3? Wee. Listen, from all accounts, we were right there with Baltimore. And
we were very good today, Jesse. Very good.
I heard nothing but praise for Sam Howell. And, the clips that we've seen, I watched a little bit of the practice because Ravens, they were awesome enough to live stream the practice. I mean, they didn't show everything, but they showed a lot. And, listening to, some of the radio station, going through practice. And, in years past, we would probably just been getting blown up and we were doing just as good as the Ravens were. We were fighting. Sam Howell was making plays. Terry McLaurin was juking Marlon Humphreys right out of it. 3-time Pro Bowler. Right out of his shoes, multiple. You see Jahan Dotson. You see Emmanuel Forbes, rookie Emmanuel Forbes on Odell Beckham.
It was class. The one thing that I saw was the route from Samuel. Oh my god! If you watch that,
nasty.
The guy just he didn't know where to look. I think his ankles are still on that field. This is really good. And you know what? I think this is why the tempers did flare. The tempers flared because I think the Ravens thought to themselves, it's only Washington.
Yeah.
It's the Commanders. We're not bothered about them at all coming into town. We'll just do what we need to do. We'll take the practice where we want to take it. We know what 11-on-11 is going to be like. We know what 7-on-7 is going to be like. We'll be okay. And then when we start showing up and you see the passes are not hitting the dirt, the passes are going to the receivers. Terry's making routes, as you said. Jahan's making juking people out of his socks, and so is Curtis Samuel. And then you've got the offensive line, which stood up today.
From all accounts, they played pretty well today.
And Sadiq Charles as well. I mean, this is what we talked about before. Shout out to Sadiq Charles for today's practice. I know it's joint practice, but from all accounts, he's had a really, really good practice today. Yeah. So I'm quite happy with that. I've seen one where he drove the edge rusher back by literally picking him up underneath his neck almost. Questions on whether it would be a penalty in a real game time, but that's the sort of shit you want to see when you're seeing your offensive lineman driving someone back 10-15 yards. That's for me.
One of my favorite clip of the day was Deron Payne working on some poor offensive lineman. And he just threw hro and this is a starting caliber offensive lineman for the Baltimore Ravens, and he threw him like a fucking rag dog. I mean, just punked. It was like, no, you're done
today as well.
That was probably my favorite clip of the day. And then you have the dolt of the day in Mark Andrews. What a fucking pussy. I mean, this jackass was, body slamming little tiny defensive
It was
backs.
Johnson, wasn't it? Was it?
Yeah,
Was it?
and for making a play, he made a play, knocked the ball out of his hands, and he got pissed off. And Deron Payne came up to him and said, "Take your fucking helmet off. Take your fucking
He
helmet
wouldn't
off."
stop, would he? He wouldn't
he fucking
stop.
walked away like a little bitch. So, Mark Andrews, I got a message for you. You're a bitch. There, message over. Yeah, no,
Emmanuel Forbes showing himself up though as well. You know, he's out there saying, "Look, you know, I'm not going to back down. Not from
no,
man."
It won't. And I like the fact that Forbes was pretty much on Odell Beckham all day. Yeah, and listen, Odell got his Zay Jones that fantastic. He's going to be good. That rookie wide receiver for the Ravens. He's going to be really good. I mean, they got theirs too.
Kendall Fuller got cooked a couple of times as well. I saw that, but
and that's what happens. I mean, you can't be perfect all the time, but what is good for this team? We've heard this from OTA's day one, since this joint practice was set in stone, that this was a litmus test. And so far, we're passing with flying colors.
Agreed. I mean, let's be honest. This is a perennial team that's full of Pro Bowlers that always gets to pretty much to the playoffs. Yeah. I'm not always going to go deep in the playoffs, but they're always in the playoffs. There or thereabouts. And it's a solid squad. Their defense is very, very good, and their offense is pretty good, especially with Lamar under center. They've looks like they've got that, Zay Jones. Is it Flowers? Is it
Zay Flowers? I'm sorry, Zay Flowers.
Yeah, sorry.
You're right.
Yeah, I thought it was. Right. Yeah, he's come in. Beckham's in. It looks like they've sorted that wide receiver, which perennially Baltimore have never done. They've always had poor wide receivers. They're going to go far in the AFC, and if we're holding up to them when we're not expected to be, we've got a good chance here. Like I said to you before, Jesse, it's not about making sure that we're going to win a Super Bowl. Let's not get carried away here. If we can back into a wild card spot, no problem at all with that. If we can, because honestly, I don't know if we're going to win this division. That's going to be very, very tough.
Probably not.
That's probably not going to happen. Sam Howell to be the top 15 to 20 QB rating, in that sort of level. And we're not expecting him to be, out there at number one. Just be it 15 to 20, and that's totally good enough for me. You're winning two more games.
This season. I'm with you on that. Like I said, this was the litmus test, and by all accounts, that we're passing. I mean, we got one more day.
We'll see what happens tomorrow.
What's going to happen tomorrow? But when you have perennial Pro Bowlers like Marlon Humphreys come out and say Sam Howell looked good, he was surprised. He didn't know who the quarterback was going to be. He said he looked comfortable and confident and was on point. I mean, you got a guy like that coming out from another team saying that about your quarterback. Listen, that's another check his box. As soon as I read that he said that, I was like, I went on Twitter and I said, I am going to pick Sam Howell I'm going to ride or die with my guy, and I'm going to pick Sam number 1 overall in all 37 of my fantasy teams.
Wow!
I'm just kidding.
I was going to say,
not really.
I was going to say that is a bold statement.
You don't pick a quarterback no.
I was going to say,
but I might throw out. I got a shit ton of fantasy teams, so I might go out on a limb and say, you know what? Look at all the fucking weapons that he has. I'm sure, but listen, I think we're heading in the right direction. I hope so. I don't just think that. I know that we are. Whether or not Sam Howell's the guy or not, pieces are in place for this team taking that next step. And we got a little bit of a difficult schedule this year, but I think that with the tools that we have in the toolbox, if Sam just can hold that hammer and bang that nail, I think we're going to be all right.
Yeah, I'm quietly more confident than I was. I'm certainly more confident than I was going into the offseason. That's for sure. But injuries wise, we talked about injury. I think I heard you guys talk about injuries last night on the bunker. Very similar here. I mean, Logan Thomas is going to be a miss with that calf. But the other players who had injuries seem to show up today in joint practice, and they played well. Yeah. Your Cosmes, your Sadiq Charleses of the world, they played okay.
Yeah,
I don't know who else has been held out of practice because I've seen Chase Young. He was there.
St. Juice, Chase Young was going through individual stuff. St. Juice,
okay.
was also there. He's, it's that time of year. A lot of teams are getting nicked up, man. And it happens during training camps. As long as we don't have nothing too serious, I think we're going to be all right. And Logan's starting, to make it step by step. I'm sure he'll be back by next week on the practice field.
I hope so. I really do.
Yeah.
So I won't be able to catch this. I won't be able to catch this game again because it's really late, this one, and it's into a Tuesday morning for me.
I probably I'm not going to be able to make it till the next day. Watch it till the next day either, just because of my work schedule. We're actually going to work earlier just to try to beat the heat, and I might just watch like the first drive or two, and what the hell, I'm probably going to watch the whole thing and be dog ass tired in the morning. But I'm telling myself that, so I can try to get to bed at a decent
prepared
hour.
for it.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I've got nothing more from me, mate. I've got nothing more to add apart from I'm looking forward to seeing you in just over 3 weeks, I think. So it's not long now.
It's going to be
honestly,
counting down the days. Counting down the days.
26 days, I think it is. So not long now. Looking forward to it. Really am looking forward to it. I can't wait to get out and see you again and chop it up with you. It's going to be very good.
It's going to be fun. We got another joint practice tomorrow. We're going to see how, if this Commanders team can keep it going, if they can string together 2 days of good practices with a team like the Baltimore Ravens, watch out. Optimism, will start to go up. You on the radio today, I heard Quadre Ismail. He's wide receiver. He's a wide receiver, defensive back, wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens for many years. He jumped on the radio show with B. Mitch and Finley, and he had a lot of good things to say about Sam Howell, about Terry McLaurin, and said, "You guys are going to be fine. Your offensive line looks fine." I was like, "What? Okay." That's when you have guys like that cover different teams and are impressed with the things that they see on the field, that should get your confidence up a little bit more.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, honestly, as I said before, I'm a lot more confident coming out of that first game, and I'm more confident going into this game as well. I mean, the hoodoo still exists for the Ravens. I'd love to be the team that breaks that hoodoo, but we'll see. We'll see. Was it 28 seasons or something they're unbeaten in? I don't know. At home.
It's
something ridiculous.
The Ravens, it's like
ridiculous.
26 games in a row.
Oh, is it something like that? 26 games in a row. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, something ridiculous.
Yeah, they game plan. I mean, it's like you're going to game plan. They love their streak and they try to win even when they have their third and fourth teamers in there. So, Scott, I appreciate you joining me today. I think we're going to be back on Friday. And just to let everybody know out there, Scott is my favorite guy from the UK. Even though that what I said yesterday on the podcast, on the Bunker Podcast.
I don't care, man. It's all fun.
I was just joking. I was joking.
I know. It's all fun.
Next week I'm gonna tell those guys that they're my favorite too. So
of course you are, and I understand that. But you've got to remember, you're now cutting out with pretty much the 3 podcasters in the UK. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what comes of it. It's funny. No, but well done on your other show. Really enjoyed it. Thought it was really, really good. So yeah, shout out to Burrows and shout out to Scouse and the Bunker podcast. So yeah, nice one. Well done.
You can catch Scotty on Twitter at ScottEH84. You can catch me at Jesse's24. You can also catch my other show, The Bunker, with Andy Burrows and Scal Sandy on Mondays. And we are going to be live every Tuesday and Friday for pretty much the rest of the season. As
we are indeed season 3, Jesse.
Yeah,
Season 3.
Season 3. Well, thanks for everybody who joined us live. And we'll catch you guys on Friday, I think. Yeah, that is the plan.
I hope so. Shout out to John as well. Happy 60th, mate.
Yeah, definitely a big shout out to
I'll send him some.
Well over the hill. He is well over the hill, making that crawl down the hill. And hopefully he doesn't hit any potholes on the way down.
I hope not.
All right, we'll see y'all on Friday.
How long